start recording it here. And again, there's quite a bit of information from chapter 7, and the video I posted in chat, DM160 chapter 7, will cover it all in depth. But the what chapter 7 is about is explaining the the different types of keywords that we could have. And so for capstone part 2, I do know that we were going through a few items with trying to develop our keywords. And I want to just showcase what some important keywords are and the types there as well. And let me go ahead and let me just show off the slide. Where is it? Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, perfect. So again, chapter 7 is in regards to the different types of keywords that we have. And of course, chapter 7 also covers some strategies and researching tools that are embedded inside of, or excuse me, not embedded, but are a part of Google. Those are covered in the video I have in the chat where I do some examples of going through them. I could do a few here as well, but the main thing that I want to get across from chapter 7 is this idea of different types of keywords. So for chapter 7, we get introduced this idea of seed keywords. And you can kind of make an analogy here about whenever you start off with a garden or anything, you usually plant the seeds of the garden. So the very most basic starting component of anything is usually the seed. And we refer to some keywords that are very basic in the starting as seed keywords. So seed keywords are, a seed keyword is a word that is going to be the most simple form of a type of a word. Essentially, like if you are trying to run a tennis business, the seed keyword that you might use is tennis. Now, why would you want to use tennis as a seed keyword? Well, you might be able to get tennis shoes, tennis courts, tennis rackets, tennis balls, and everything like that as well. So as you can see here, the word tennis is going to be our seed keyword because it goes ahead and it's able to expand into different areas that we otherwise might not be able to use if we don't have, if we have a more specific keyword. So again, seed keywords are these keywords that form the foundation of the terms that are related to your site. And then, of course, the idea here is with tennis. And now that we have the seed keyword idea down, we're going to go ahead and look at the 3 types of keywords that we're going to see. And again, I do know a few of us have capstone part 2 in, but this is going to be helpful for capstone part 2 in case you're struggling a bit with some of the keywords, as I do know that that one's a bit more broad with trying to determine them. But the types of keywords that we're going to be looking through are the 3 types are head, body, and long tail. Now, the head keyword is usually 1 or 2 words or terms that are going to span a generic massive range. But again, this is a bit similar to the seed keywords as well. So seed and head keywords can be pretty similar, almost kind of identical in their purposes. And again, for example, the word tennis is a head keyword because the categories that it spans is very large, right? So if we just say tennis as my keyword, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like tennis, the sport, like tennis sites or tennis shoes or merchandise and stuff like that as well? So we can see that the head keywords are going to be a bit more broad. And now the body keywords are something that we'll probably see quite a bit of inside of the work that we're doing for our capstones. Body keywords are going to be more specific and limited to around 2 or 3 words. So for example, here we for a body keyword, we might have online shoe shopping, black canvas sneakers, or shirts online UK. And what this means is that body keywords are pretty broad in idea. Like for instance, online shoe shopping is still a really broad area, but that's a bit more specific than the head and the seed keywords, right? So the purpose of a body keyword is to cater to a more specific audience that are going to be looking for stuff already. So essentially what that means is you're going to be kind of thinking like, what would someone who wants to find me type in? And then of course, if you're running an online shoe store, someone would probably type in online shoe shopping. So that's essentially what these body keywords are for. And then the last one is long tail keywords. And long tail keywords are going to be specific to the name. They are the keywords that are very large. They consist of 4 or more words, and they're very specific. So for example, down here, we have online shoes, Aldo, Amazon, Canada. And essentially that someone who is looking for this online is going to type in this query. So again, long tail keywords are a lot longer. They're more highly specific, and they're going to be used as these search queries by the users. Now, I just went through a few of these a bit quickly, but I do want to reiterate, do these make sense here? The seed keyword, again, is pretty similar to the head keyword, but I just want to ensure that everyone knows the difference between head, body, and long tail keywords. And body keywords are probably going to be what we're going for the most of the time. But for instance, in my capstone example with walking dogs, a long tail keyword I might have is dog walkers in Chicago for cheap or something like that, you know? So cheap dog walkers in Chicago, that's a very specific long tail keyword, but it gets my location in there, it gets the business in there, and it gets the pricing for cheap in there as well. So that would be an example of a long tail keyword as well. Does anyone have any questions on the head, body, and long tail keywords, or is this kind of make sense there? It's a bit straightforward. And again, if you have any questions, you could always feel free to unmute. Oh, great. Okay, great. Thank you. So again, this is being recorded. I also have chapter 7's like really in-depth video that I went through as well on there. And good. And again, as a reiteration, we usually want to focus on the body keywords rather than the long tail, or too broad or too specific might hurt you. So you want to make sure you kind of find that middle ground there. And again, just as an example of why we might want to use body keywords with the 3 words alone, for instance, if you are someone traveling around Canada and you need to stop to buy a new pair of shoes, maybe you lost them or something stole them or anything, you might type in when you're driving past Toronto, tennis shoes Toronto. Now, if you are looking for people who are searching for this, that'll be perfect. They'll find it. But the other one down here is a long tail keyword. And tennis shoes read book store downtown Toronto sale. It's there's a lot of information in there. And for instance, if you are a tourist or if you're just someone passing through the place, you're not going to know that there might be a read book store downtown. You don't know if there's a sale going on. So you might not type in any of this, and then you are eliminating potential customers. So you want to try to find that middle ground and kind of target your audience, remember. Remember, try to think of it, do you want to target people who aren't really familiar with it, or do you know that people are looking for this stuff and then you're going to specifically target them? But usually we don't know what everyone's looking for all the time, so the body keywords are the better options. Now, in chapter 7 on the video, I would recommend going through it because I go through a few examples of the the applications, but just for the sake of time, I don't want to just do them all because we do have a few more chapters to get through here. But what this chapter is talking about here is that you're able to go through your competition and check out their sources of keywords and what they're using in order to find what keywords are useful. And as an example of this, in our project 3, which I will be talking about in a bit, that's actually what you're doing. You get a report created by a program called SpyFu, and then you're able to go through that report and find the keywords that you're listing. But again, what we're showing off here is that if you look at the competition's keywords, you can also see what, if you look at your competitions through some of these websites I'm going to show here, you can look at what their keywords are as well. Again, you can also go to some online forums and other areas like that to look up some keywords. But usually with the tools that we're showing off here, it's pretty straightforward to go ahead and look at some tools. So there's a lot of other tools out there, as we already said. Let's see here. There's a ton of them out there. And as you can see here, we can see the keywords. Let me just say gelato for some keywords if I search for them. using this guy here. And then again, these are all for free. See here. It will also tell us how many people are looking for it and the type of the type of keywords that people are looking up. So gelato ice cream is a bit up there, but gelato normal is up there as well. And gelato near me too. So you might just look this up inside of your website there and then go ahead and check it out. And then it also says that we might be able to enter a domain. So let's see if I can enter in, let's see if I can grab a URL really quick. How are these guys doing? Okay, so we might need to log in to see everything, but you're able to see here that the top pages for the SEO that they have going on is also listed out for us too. So this is important because we could see the keywords they're using, and essentially, as you can see here, some of the keywords that they're looking for. Black Dog Gelato Logan Square, so that's a very long tail keyword, and same with the Black Dog Gelato Chicago. Great. So again, that's just an example of what you can use these keyword tools with. And then, of course, SpyFu, we're going to go over this in a Project 3's description, but it is just a way to show you what the competition is using. So you just literally need to go to spyfu.com. And then once you're there, you can just enter in the person's URL that you're trying to look at, and then it will make a report for you based on what the SEO keywords are using and so forth. Perfect. Now let me see here, just because I do know. Great. So I wanted to show off more of the tools that you might use, because we're not coding in HTML or anything. So a few of these slides just talk about that. But again, if you look through these slides, the next few slides talk about the specifics of each of these guys. And if you look at the chapter 7, which I will post back into the chat here, that goes into detail, and I show an example of them on each of them. But again, a general idea is don't overstuff your keywords. Make sure that your keywords are kind of sprinkled into your content a little bit, and just optimize your website. Great. So I kind of rushed a bit through chapter 7, but I do want to keep going just to get to chapter 8 and 9. And as a reiteration of what I've said already, I have videos on these 2 chapters that go in depth here. I just want to make sure that we're all caught up to speed with some core concepts, because last week was a bit more hectic. Let me put you guys over here. Great. Okay, so for chapters 8 and 9, we are going through this idea of link building and content considerations, which aren't crucial, but they will help us figure out ways to go ahead and build up our content here. I'm wondering why. Wait, it's not. There it is. Perfect. Perfect. So the link building aspect of this chapter is just in regards to, what link building is a term that we saw a few times, but essentially what we're going to be looking at is figuring out how we can get our website a bit more popular using this idea of links. Now, what exactly is link building, as we've heard it before? It's going to be a methodology that essentially, there's various ways we can do this, but we essentially want links from other websites to point to our website. So what that means is that if you have a very famous gelato ice cream store, you might have an article or a newspaper writing about you, and they will link the website there. That is what building a link is. So link building is where you have links from outside sources coming to you. And it's also going to work in the reverse way, where you can have links from your website go out to other people as well. Both are important, and a general idea in this class, we focused a lot on SEO and just kind of getting this idea down, like I need my keywords optimized and all of that. That's important too, but building up links and making sure other people can see your page throughout other websites is also just as important. As a general idea, if each inbound link to a site helps boost your SEO, so that will go ahead and increase your rank significantly if you have quite a few inbound links to your sites. These are a bunch of information, and I'm going to go through them kind of quickly because I want to make sure that we're all there on these. But these are going to be some important factors for link building that we have in some of these areas. The first one is the relevance of the link. So essentially what this means is that if you have a website that's linking to your website, make sure that it's a relevant website. So you don't want to be making a plumbing, if a user is looking through an ice cream website and they click a link and it takes them to a plumbing website, it's not going to look that good for us. So we want to make sure that you understand who's linking to your website and then figure out if they're relevant or not. Another idea is trustworthiness, and what this means is that if you have a site that's either not secure or there's some bad names around it or there's some bad history with it, that's going to affect your website as well, even if you're not really involved with them. That also does the inverse is true. For instance, if you have a link to your website on the Harvard Business Review, that's going to boost up your SEO a bit more because it's from a reputable source. Social media links are this idea where we use social media to link to our website. And this can be very helpful. For instance, if you have a very famous Instagrammer and they link your product page from your website, that's another way that you can boost visibility. Not only does it just showcase another link for link building, but it also targets the entire audience that influencer has. Interactive content's a really fancy way of saying how we can build up upon the current content. What that means is if we have content, excuse me, what that means is that if we're selling yoga mats on our website, we might also want to link to some sites that sell more yoga equipment and stuff like that. For instance, if you are only selling yoga equipment, you might have some links to sell yoga tutorials and stuff like that too. So this general idea of just using what you currently are based around for your business and expanding on it is important as well. Spamming is no inside of our thing here. Make sure you don't spam your links. If a website is linked multiple times and we see it throughout there, we are going to see, or excuse me, if we see that our website is linked multiple times, it might be determined as spamming, and that will hurt our results. So make sure that the links that you have are trustworthy. Don't spam them onto a ton of places, and also from the sites that you have your links on, make sure that it's reputable. Great. Domain authority is this term that I wanted to cover a bit more, just because it's a very fancy term that this means that if a website has been visible and around for longer, it's going to have a bit more authority with it. What this means is that if you have a very solid website like the Harvard Business Review, like we mentioned earlier, that website is going to have more authority than some more unknown sites. So if you have the chance, make sure that you try to get more authoritative sites under your belt if they can link to you, as that will help boost your SEO as well. But again, what this means is that the more established the site is and the more it's been around, the more authority it's going to have. Again, this is just a general idea for link building, but if you're ever having people come to your website, make sure that your content is okay and that experts can link to your site if they're familiar with your field. And then, of course, make sure that there's no broken links anywhere and that all the content that you post is fresh and that you don't have any missing pages. The link building resources and utilities, there's quite a few of them here. And during the video that I have posted here, these are a lot of tools, but I just wanted to cover a few of the ideas here for link building. The general idea with link building is you are going to try to make sure that your website is linked to other ones, and that if they are, it's going to be from a reputable source. Great. Let me just see if we have... Okay, so these few slides that we have here, the link building resources and utilities, I'll go through them kind of quickly, but essentially what they're doing is you're going to go ahead and use a few different ways, or I could just run through them this way here. You for improving your link building on your website, you're going to want to make sure that the content you have on your website is appropriate and that it's up to date. You want to make sure that you could reach out to some emails as well, if that's important. There's also guest posting methods, which are similar to the guest blogging methods. The guest posting, again, is where you might post on someone else's website if it's similar to your one, and then they will see that information linked back to them. There's a lot of forums out there where there's this utilitarian information. What that means, again, is just like you can see what other people are asking. I think I have one up here. Let's see here. Very quickly, I'll pull up a link. Great. So even just going ahead with these Google searches as well, there's quite a few items out here that help build up, link building and stuff like that as well. And there should be a few. Here we go. Perfect. So as you can see here, these are just a lot of big blogs and, these are all questions. But what they are is if you go ahead and read them, see here, you can go ahead and just see how they're doing it as well. So there's a lot of forums out there, and these slides are just saying to look at the forums for more help with those. But remember, make sure that you network with your influencers. And the one that I want to focus on, which is a bit about what Project 3 and might be helpful for your capstone projects, is this last one called the competitor-based research. So if we go all the ways to the competitor-based research really quick, you can go ahead, whoopsie-daisy, you can go ahead and figure out the backlinks that are received by your competitors and then try to analyze that. What that means is you can find out who is linking to your competition and then see if you can link with them as well. There's a lot of tools out here that do this and are helpful. One of them here, let me see here. I'll show an example of this here. If you go ahead and pull up this one called Open Link Profiler, and I go ahead and we type in our good Black Dog Gelato website. When I analyze it, what do we get here? We see where every single instance of a link to this website occurs. So we could see, we can visit, to visit the website here. And if we go ahead and open up some of these links here, or it's not, I think we might have to see if I can grab it this way. Okay, so it didn't do it just right. There should be a way for it as well, but essentially what you can see here is where they're getting their backlinks from. So you can go ahead and use this as a way to reinforce your research and pretty much say, oh, I'm running a gelato shop and the Chicago Reader is talking about gelato shops. Maybe I should reach out to them for more help or information. So that's essentially what this all means, and that's where you can go ahead and do some more research to build up your links.